Hello, everyone. It's been one heck of a week here. Yesterday, my son decided he was going to climb on the banister and jump off of it, which he has done many times before. However, we had a step stool set up so that we could cut his hair, my grandmother and I, after he got done with his special ed teacher yesterday for therapy session. He jumped off that banister. He cracked his arm off of the stool. We took him to the ER in Myersdale. They said he didn't fracture anything. And they diagnosed it as a nursemaid's elbow, which is a dislocation of the radius. Thank God they wanted me to follow up with an orthopedist today. We managed to get him in this afternoon, and thank God we did. They x-rayed him at the doctor's office, and as it turns out, Logan did fracture a bone in his elbow. So now my little daredevil has this bright blue cast on his arm, and he has no idea what to make of it. He doesn't understand why it's there. Excuse that. A lot of that you can chalk up to, the fact that he's 4 years old. What 4-year-old is going to understand a cast? Neurotypical or not, most 4-year-olds don't really grasp the cast bit. The last 2 days have been extremely tough. In the last 2 days, I have had to hold my son down for multiple x-rays while he cried. Heartbreaking tears. I took him, like I said, to the ER yesterday. Normally, my grandmother would have went in with us. She is the one who is best able to keep him calm because she is his person. They have this really, really tight bond, and they have pretty much ever since he was born. She waited out in the car in case we needed to get a prescription filled so that I could just, run in and get it, and he could stay in the car and relax. An ER visit like that for any child, especially a small child like that, of course it would be hellish, not just for the kid, but for the parents. You throw autism into the mix, and it is literally hell on earth. You're trying to keep your perfect little child comfortable while he has to have a mask on to even get into the emergency room to be seen. And they're taking his temperature, which he does not like. He does not like having anything poked in his ear. He is in such horrid pain that taking his coat off so they can examine his arm is a battle. You sit and you wait and you wait and you wait and you give him your cell phone so that he can watch his beloved Thomas and Friends on YouTube, and the whole time you are praying that whatever they're going to do, it's going to be quick and not the usual nonsense that goes on in an ER where you're waiting for an eternity and a half. And in our little hospital in Myersdale, you sit and you wait, regardless of how many other people are in the ER. We were literally the only two there that I know of. And when you've got a little one on the spectrum, especially, the wait. Oh, that wait becomes lethal. Don't mind the allergy cough. Get him x-rayed. The amazing x-ray techs who were in the room with him, helping me to hold him and to position him whatever way they needed him to be. They could hear him crying and screaming from the pain when they would manipulate his arms the way they needed it to be for the x-ray. And the whole time I'm standing there, holding his good hand, stroking his soft little head, and I'm trying to comfort him the best way I know how, as my own eyes are filling with tears at his pain. I look over and the one tech has tears forming in her eyes at the sight of his pain. They were the only two that we had any extended contact with during that visit that showed him any compassion, any sympathy. The doctor, the ER doctor, had no remorse. No, I shouldn't say remorse. He didn't act like he had any sympathy for this poor little boy who has autism, and he desperately does not understand. He talked down to him. He talked down to me. And I have spent the better part of the last 20 to 25 years of my life in and out of hospitals, especially the last 15. I took care of my great-grandmother from the time I was 9 years old. Towards the end of her life, she was in and out of the hospital constantly due to atrial fibrillation. Don't talk to me like I'm stupid. I am officially now a healthcare worker. I have been for quite a while. I've worked in group homes. I have worked in personal care homes. I have worked in a nursing home. And I'm working now as a home health aide. I know my my way around medical procedures and medical terminology. Don't talk to me like I am some dumbass. And that's what that doctor did, and it took every ounce of restraint that I had in me to not throttle him. Because as you all know, I have barely been sleeping the last 2 weeks. With my baby in pain, it was not the time to be screwing with me and belittling me and treating me like I'm a dumbass. Turns out his diagnosis of nursemaid's elbow was completely wrong. Fast forward to today, where I literally only got 3 hours of sleep. Logan was up and down all night due to the pain, even with having been given Tylenol. He couldn't settle. He couldn't get any rest. And, of course, that just ramped up my own insomnia. So we managed to make it through his speech therapy today. Scored the appointment that we needed to go to the orthopedist. We got it today for this afternoon. Originally it was for 2:30, and then they said we could go in at 1. The doctor he was going to see really has a knack with special needs kids. And I was like, okay, well, thank God. Because if I have to deal with one more doctor in this neck of the woods who has no idea how to deal with a child who is autistic, I'm probably going to lose my shit. Because I'm running on 3 hours of sleep. As you can see from the bags under my eyes. And I'm still ticked off about the ER visit. Don't mess with me. Now this guy was fantastic. He put up with poor Logan crying and screaming just from the second he walked in the room. Hadn't even touched him, hadn't looked at the arm, nothing yet, and poor Logan freaked. Even though he had his comfort item, which is my phone, and he had YouTube, he still freaked out. Okay? This guy and his nurse were absolutely fantastic with him. They handled him perfectly. He suggested we get another x-ray because he couldn't see the angle that he needed to see on the x-rays that were taken in the emergency room. Won't lie, the first thought that ran through my head was, oh dear God, not again. It was a battle. Logan got to sit on my lap this time at least, and didn't have to worry about him falling off the table because he was squirming. We managed to get just the right shot of his elbow, and the doctor looked at me and he said he fractured it. There is a small fracture there. And of course, at that point, all I could think of was, now what? Now what? He had said about a splint, but I don't know if anybody else has a kid on the spectrum like mine who you put a Band-Aid on him when he gets like a paper cut or something, rips it off, won't leave it on. And the doctor said, well, would he leave a splint on? Would he leave the bandage on? I said, probably not. I said, knowing him as I do, probably not. So then the next option was a cast. So we got the cast. It is a nice dark shade of blue. We picked that because Logan said his favorite engine on Thomas is Gordon. Gordon is blue. So we got the nice dark blue for Gordon, and I mean, like I said, the doctor and the nurse, poor Logan, he had the phone. He still was crying and screaming fit to wake the dead. And, I mean, I've got sweat running down my face trying to keep him calm. It's getting in my mask. It's driving me crazy. Logan is just, he's had it. This whole thing has been tantamount to torture to him. Not that I blame him. We get the cast done. Doctor and the nurse looked at him and said, "You were so brave, buddy. You did such a good job." And I'm sitting there thinking, are we really talking about the same kid? And I could not stop myself. I thanked them like 500,000 times for being as patient with him as they were. And we have him set up to go in May 19th for another x-ray before they see if they're going to take the cast off. I'm not a very religious person, but when it comes to him, I always ask for prayer whenever something's going on with him. So whoever's watching this, if you wouldn't mind saying a prayer for this little boy. That he makes it through, and that bone heals, and there's no permanent damage. Sorry, I don't mean to tear up. It's just been really hard. Any other time, I don't mind being a single mom and dealing with all of the craziness and the hoopla that autism can bring. At 4 years into being a single mom, I'm just now starting to feel like I can roll with his punches. I know better what triggers him now. But with the stress of the last couple of weeks and the last 48 hours in general, this is one of those rare moments where I want to break down and go crazy for the fact that my son's growing up without a dad. Today would have been a good day for him to have his dad. And who did he have? Just his pathetic mother. It's days like this where I wish he had his father or a father figure in his life. It's days like this where I wish to God I wasn't a single mom anymore. It's days like this where the armor cracks. As a single parent, especially as a single special needs parent, you build up this armor and this wall. And you say, screw it, I can deal with it on my own. Done it this long, pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I don't need no stinking man, pretty much. Today it would have been nice to have had one. Just for a support system. Just a shoulder to lean on. Somebody to say, hey, honey, it'll be okay. We'll get him through it. That's a luxury that I don't have. And and I probably never will. Most of the time, it doesn't bother me. Today, and days like today, it hits. And I try really hard not to cry on camera. I don't want to be seen as seeking pity. I don't want anybody's pity. I got myself in the mess that I did with my son's biological father. While he is not paying the consequences that karma will deal him, I deal with my end of it all the time. And I don't regret it. I don't. That kid is the love of my life. I would wade through hellfire for that boy. Just like any parent. Any real parent would wade through hellfire for their kid. I'm no different. Maybe a little more emotionally messed up and scarred than he deserves to be exposed to, but he's gonna learn how to pick himself up by his bootstraps from watching Mommy do it all the time. He's gonna learn to be as self-reliant as his mom is, for the most part. I'm pretty emotionally self-reliant. I don't depend on anybody for my happiness. There was something else I wanted to say now, and I completely forgot what it was. Go figure. I am sending you all a ton of love and support through these dark days. We will get through this together. One step at a time. Just keep on smiling and keep on trucking. Like I said in the last video, if you have any questions about how autism can manifest, if you want to know anything that we've done to get Logan from nonverbal to verbal and to work with him on becoming able to functionally communicate, please leave your questions in the comments, and next video I will gladly answer them if I can. Alright, y'all. Bye.